Hello again and a warm welcome back to the island of Kyushu for our continuing coverage of the 2024 World Cup circuit. We're in Miyazaki in Japan and the elite men's race is just a few minutes away. Coming up to 11 o'clock in the morning local time. We have a bigger field than we had for the women's race earlier, if you're with us for that. More than 40 men taking their chance here this morning, and we are racing over the sprint distance today. So it'll be fast and furious once they do get underway shortly. The weather's pretty much the same as it was for the women's race, although the forecasters continue to tell us there could be some showers around. Well, let's hope they stay away. Here's the course. We've got a beach start and a 750-metre swim anti-clockwise. Then it's out onto the bikes. Now, the bikes is fascinating because there are lots of dead turns, also some straights where we may potentially get a breakaway. We didn't really get that in the women's race. 4 equal 5-kilometre laps, so that makes it 20 kilometres in total. And when they get off the bikes, they'll be out onto the run, which is a pretty flat course, actually. It takes in part of the bike circuit. They race right alongside the beach, 2 laps of 2.5 kilometres each. And that makes up the 5K total distance. And if the finish is anywhere near as exciting as the women's, we'll be very, very happy. That was an absolute thriller earlier. 750-metre swim, 20K bike, and a 5K run. My name's Trevor Harris, alongside me Helen Jenkins. 2 Japanese that may be fancying their chances in this race. Helen, we've got Kenji Naina, who's number 1 on the field. Not Dylan McCulloch as listed there. It is Kenji Naina wearing 1. And we've also got Takumi Hojo in the field as well, the ever colourful Takumi Hojo. What do you make of their respective medal chances on home soil?
I think, well, both of them have got World Cup medals. Kenji Naina had a World Cup medal early this year in Hong Kong. So, yeah, they've got a good chance. And I think being on home soil, they would love to have a medal. They didn't get one in the women's, so they would really like to get a medal here at their own home World Cup. And Kenji Naina's had a really solid, consistent year. He didn't have the race he wanted at the Olympics. He felt like he was a lot fitter going in. So he would really like a little bit of redemption for that. But he did say he's quite tired. It's been a long season, so he'll see what he has left in the tank. OK. Just those numbers actually weren't quite right. So let me just whiz you through the top 5, just so you don't get overly confused. Just the weather first. That's around about 19 degrees centigrade, so pretty much as it was for the women earlier. So basically just shy of 70 Fahrenheit, if you prefer it in old money. The wind looks like it might have died down a little bit, actually. It was quite blustery early on. So the top 5 numerically, 1 is Kenji Naina, who we just spoke about. 2 is Yannis Sego of France, who's had some success this season in World Cups. Takumi Hojo is 3. Valentin Morlek is 4. And Maxime Huber-Moosbrugger, racing for France as well, is number 5 on the start list. You can see them about to be introduced. We've got a couple of Brits in the field who will fancy their chances also, Jack Willis and Ben Dijkstra. Strong French contingent though, Helen. We were looking at that earlier. There's about 8 of them, you reckon, in the field? Yeah, there's about 8, and they're in good form. Sagan's already got 2 medals this year, a win and a 3rd. Huber-Moosbrugger was 4th in Tonyong just 2 weeks ago. And then you've got Passimar further down, Aurélien Gem. They've all had really solid results this year. You know, the Frenchmen are so strong. We'd expect maybe one of them to get up there on the podium.
World Triathlon Cup, Miyazaki. Way number 1 from Japan, 2023 Asian Games gold medalist, Kenji Naina.
So Kenji Naina comes out. Started the season really well. His first World Cup medal in Hong Kong. And as you might have heard the announcer say there, he won the Asia Championships and won them by over a minute here in Japan.
I think he's getting a bit of pressure on him coming in with number 1 on today as well. Maybe he feels like he's got to go out there and deliver on that.
We won't know till he takes the swim cap off what colour Hojo's hair is today. He likes to keep us guessing.
New dad as well. Just had a baby at the start of October.
Yeah, there is pressure on Kenji Naina. He actually ran well in Yokohama in the World Championship Series race. He was top 7 earlier this season.
Number 6, from Great Britain, Jack.
So Valentin Morlek, he's had a World Cup medal already this season as well.
From Japan, Ben Sato.
Jack Willis had his best ever season with that top 10 in Way High. Real breakthrough for him, his first ever top 10 in the World Series.
Australia, Luke Schofield.
Ben Dijkstra, who's had so many issues with injuries. It's actually his 8th race of the season, and that's the most he's had in any season for the last 5 years.
Luke Schofield there from Australia. So we think the first ever twins racing a World Cup together. His brother Jaden's also racing a little bit further down the field.
16, from Great Britain, Cameron May. 17, from New Zealand, Saxon Morgan.
Cameron Main, the Scottish athlete. He's a good swimmer.
There's Morgan, who had a respectable top 30 in the World Series event in Hamburg back in July. Otherwise, a bit of a frustrating year for him.
Interesting thing there, Rhys Vanassen coming through from the US, so second at World Junior Championships. It's a big aim for him to win. He was slightly disappointed not to come away with that win.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how he goes today.
Look out for Midot as well from the US. Really strong cyclist.
It's the Israeli just going through, Shasar Sakiv, double Olympian.
25 from Poland, Maciej Bruchin. 26 from Spain, Esteban Basanta.
Definitely not quite as breezy as it was earlier. Those flags were really getting banged about when the women were being introduced.
28 from France, Igor Depuis.
Field of 42, incidentally, here.
Romania, Sebastian Pascal. 30 from France, Nathan Lachman.
We saw actually with the women's swim there was a little bit of chop out in the water, so it's no bargain the swim here.
No, it's not, and they've got that beach start to contend with. Some of the athletes like the beach start and will really enjoy that, but it is choppy on the way out to those first buoys. It does calm down then. Still a little bit of wind out there.
36 from the Republic of Korea, Jihong Lee.
But it is a slightly smaller field than average, so you might expect to see a few more gaps open up, and some of the field are quite inexperienced, so again, that does, we can almost expect a certain number of athletes that maybe won't make that front pack, so there is definitely the potential for a breakaway in these kind of races. We did see in the women's race earlier, there wasn't any sort of big breakaway, but with the course being quite narrow in sections and the dead turns, it really is a bit stop-start, so it's quite a challenge for the athletes.
And 44 from the Republic of Korea, Jaehyun Kim. This is the elite men's of the 2024 World Triathlon.
So all 42 of them have now been introduced, and very shortly the last couple will just make their way down to the start.
Yellow hats are the top 10. All pretty much all gone to the same side, apart from number 10 there.
Which is Luke Schofield. Yeah, they're almost in exact numerical order, aren't they, on the right-hand side as we look.
Athletes, you are now in the hands of the starter.
Here we go then. Looked a clean start, 42 men on their way at the Miyazaki World Cup. One of them was very slowly away, seemed to kind of miss the break completely.
Yeah, someone, I don't know if they fell. It was definitely and some of the athletes on the right in the yellow hats didn't respond quickly at all to that horn going off.
First buoy is not for about 300 metres, so they've got a little bit of time to sort themselves out and to try and find the tiger line, if you like, towards that opening buoy.
And the fact that the top 10 have all gone to the same side normally means that that side is slightly faster or slightly shorter to the first buoy, maybe an easier path out. That's sometimes the case when there is that bit of swell out there. Kenji Nane is a good swimmer, so we're coming in ranked number 1. We'd expect to see him near the front. We've also got Takumi Hojo, who's a really good swimmer too. Nathan Lessman down in 30. And it'll be interesting to see where Rhys Vanneson comes out. I mean, he is a really fast runner. He did his first World Cup in Valencia earlier this year and had a really solid result there with the top 10. So coming off the back of that Junior World Championships, that was the really big aim for him. And it's almost like that's gone now, that big race is gone. So there's a little bit of freedom here with this last race of the season. It's a bit of a free shot, really, to see what happens.
Expect to see Valentin Morlek also fairly prominent in the water. He's wearing number 4, the Frenchman. Got his first World Cup medal this year in July at Tijuí-Varos. It looks like it might be a little calmer out there actually now than it was when the women were swimming a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, 2 distinct arrowheads at the moment. Looks like one athlete's just going slightly off on their own there to the right, just swimming back over now. It is a little bit harder to sight when it's choppy, and we see from this angle you can see why it is a little bit. When we're above, you think, well, how can they not see where they're going? But when you're in the water like this and you're looking up, it is a lot harder, a lot more sighting than on average, obviously in flat conditions. But they are in the waviest part of the course now. Once they get to this first buoy, turn left and get behind that sea wall, which we can see there, it does get a little bit calmer. So that athlete that did go slightly off looks like they're going to be one of the first athletes to reach the buoy. We're going to have 3 men reaching it at almost exactly the same time.
Yeah, you can see how those kind of arrowheads converge. Seem to calculate their line pretty well. Now you might get a little bit of bumping and barging. There was just by the base of that buoy. See why they call it the washing machine.
Yeah, it's a really good example there. Everyone's ran relatively smoothly there. Nothing too bad. I mean, sometimes we see athletes almost stood up as they get around that first buoy and everyone converges together, but really spread out from the first to the back of the field already. And we've got several arrowheads, athletes swimming on their own. It is all over the place.
Now at the back of the field, the very back, is Jae-Hoon Kim of Korea. It is quite hard to pick out, obviously from a distance, the numbers on the swim caps.
Yeah, I think there's definitely one of the French athletes in the yellow hats that was towards the front.
Yeah, it looks like, there are more.
You've got Maxime Huber-Musburger, who got 4th in Tongyung recently, had a fantastic run, but his swim wasn't brilliant, so he's really wanting to have a better swim today.
Hojo, Hojo's right up there, and also Morlek, who I thought would swim well. Number 4 is in about 3rd or 4th at the moment. Always try and look at what the separation is at the front of the field. We've only been swimming 4.5 minutes, but it's amazing sometimes how quickly you do get a little bit of distance at the front of the pack.
Yeah, and
see it there.
Yeah, and it's easy to lose feet if you're not concentrating, or if you're kind of a little bit kind of off course with the chop or the wave or something that's hit you, just that small gap, and it can open up really quickly. And it's not even, and then for the athletes that are stuck behind, they can see the gap in front, but they can't actually, they're not in a position to respond or get rammed. Small group away at the moment. It's a very small gap, but there is a few there.
Well, it's Hojo and Morlek in second and third. Still trying to pick out who's at the front, actually.
So you've got Jack Willis there, number 6, coming round. I think that's Benji Naina's there as well. There's another 2 of the French athletes in the yellow hats, but we see how wide they're being pushed there around that other boy. So it's not the easiest swimmers. They're coming back towards the boy in land there. They've got the waves battering them from the other side.
Well, that gives you a bird's eye view. Just looking towards the front, it looks like we might have, I don't know, half a dozen, maybe 7 or 8, and then there's a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, we've got that front 3, haven't we? And then there's a little gap, and then another few athletes, and then another smaller gap. That's what I mean. It's in a smaller field, like we mentioned earlier, then it does give more opportunity for gaps to open up. The larger the field, there tends to be more people filling up the space in between. So it's a good opportunity for the athletes today. But it is it's relatively flat course, but with the dead turns being, there's a few of them, and they're quite tight, and it does kind of make a breakaway hard today. But we did see in the women's race today, you can really apply the pressure on the bike and really make some of the athletes hurt. So although you might not get that breakaway group, you are really causing all of the athletes within that bright group to work hard. They're not getting a free ride on this 20K.
It looks like Igor Dupuis of France at the front. If I'm reading that number correctly, it's number 28. But we'll get all the names and times fairly shortly. I've only got another couple of minutes in the water.
Yeah, Dupuis hasn't had that many starts. This is only his 8th ever start at World Triathlon Races. He got an 11th in Tongyong just 2 weeks ago.
Wouldn't be a surprise at all that Hojo is up there, or Morlek.
Yeah, Hojo is such a great swimmer. He's got a World Cup win as well back last year, Yeongdo.
Yeah, he didn't start in Malaga, did he, in the grand final? He was ill, I think.
Yeah, he got ill. Yeah, a few people did.
Well down the field in Tongyong a fortnight ago.
Everyone's taking a lot of different lines on the way in. It looks like it's Hojo's now taking the lead in the front. There's Morlek off to the left, so slightly different line on the way back into the beach.
Yoshikawa of Japan is also prominent. So they're going to come out of the water pretty much bang on 8.5 minutes. Hojo leads the way. Back to Dupuis, and then Morlek. There you're leading 3. And quite a long run. If you weren't with us earlier for the women's race, quite a long run until they get to the bikes. And Dijkstra just going through of Great Britain.
Big group there as well, isn't there? They've got the three at the front. They're going to have a lot smoother run into transition.
And Kenji Naina is currently right there. So we've got 3 Japanese towards the front of proceedings early on here.
Yanis Tigand's just at the back of that larger group there, so he's really going to have a good transition to make sure he gets through transition safely in that main group.
It's great from both Hojo and Morlek. Then Dupuis, Yoshikawa.
Dijkstra and Willis both with good transitions there into the front. It's very tightly packed at this point.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating now to see how many men we get at the front in the lead group. Sagiv just going out of Israel.
Good swim for Huber Moosberger there with only 9 seconds down inside the top 10. He's definitely one of the faster runners in the field.
He's hyper aggressive as well. He loves to attack on both bike and run.
Well, he's done a lot of duathlon, hasn't he? Been world duathlon champion,
Yeah.
I think once or twice.
Yeah, he won the National Sprint Championships as well a few months ago. He's actually showed up quite well in the Arena Games too when he's been in it.
So just the two athletes heading up this on-ramp first. This has broken up a little bit, but might see it all come back together as they slow down for these turns.
Yeah, so Hojo and Morlek were the two at the front, or are the two at the front, but we've now got a lead group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10, and they're all going to catch on here around that dead turn.
So this is the hard part of the course because they're slightly uphill at this point, and the athletes at the back are really chasing. They're really having to put down a lot of power to try and stay with the group because the athletes at the front they're at maximum effort at this point as well. They're out the saddle, they're going to drive up this hill, so it is one of the trickier points. And then for those athletes struggling, what they're going to have to do now is slow down again for the next dead turn and know they've got to sprint again. So it's quite mentally challenging at this point. If you're already on the limit, having chased to get back onto the group, chased out the dead turn, you've got to chase again. You've really just got to keep pushing and know you've just got to hang on and hope those groups kind of merge on a long straight. See how slow they're going around that turn there. Athletes at the back almost coming to a standstill.
Yeah, you just wonder as the bike stage begins to sort itself out, whether there are some athletes in this group who just don't want to turn it into a 20-man 5K run, might think, you know what, might be a way that we can get away at some point.
See there, that larger group going back the other direction. Yes, those athletes are under pressure. They don't have time probably for it all to come back together. As it did see at the start, it is quite windy out there, so they do have the wind to contend with while they're out on these longer, more open roads. But other than that, the conditions are pretty nice today. Just under 20 degrees. Your athletes under pressure at the back of the field. It's a long, lonely day if you end up doing this 20k on your own.
Yeah, no one wants to be in that situation. Make life a lot easier if Choi could get on the wheel of the man right in front of him, but sometimes easier said than done.
Especially on these rises, it's not much, it's just over the bridge, and it really doesn't look like much, and it probably didn't feel like that much on a familiarization, but when you're chasing really hard, it can really sap the legs. So when we look back at the timing coming out of transition, we had 25 men coming out within that, 28 men coming out in that first 30 seconds. So a lot of men hitting the road for the bike very close together.
Apologies for the picture freeze. We're trying and sort it out for you. We've had a few issues. I think the conditions haven't helped with the wind that was blowing very hard earlier.
So a lot of the names in that top 10 that we were talking about before the start are pretty much all in that front group. Reese Vanison, who we mentioned as well, who's come in, ranked 19th in the field, he is in that front group coming out of transition. So we'll see when they come through on their first lap how many of them are still together.
Yeah, it's not been a a particularly fruitful time, has it, for the American men of late in the last couple of years? We had odd successes, but not too many of them. I know they've been successful in both Olympic relays, but other than that, on the men's side, I think they're looking for somebody young that's got serious potential, and Vanessa could be the man.
Yeah, and John Reed as well, who's not racing here today, but will be racing in Brasilia later on. They're the two coming through. I mean, you've had obviously Kevin McDowell. He had a great race in Tokyo back in 2021, but had a lot of injuries since. But oh look, a crash.
We've got at least 3 men in big trouble, and I think one of them is in real trouble. Probably hear him screaming on the road. Well, that could be nasty.
It was one of the French athletes is walking on the side of the road, but we're not sure who is actually down on the floor, but we'll let you know as soon as we know who that athlete was. Like most of the group managed to avoid the crash.
And we couldn't really see what caused it either. It just seemed to come out of nowhere, those pictures.
Not those, at that point as well, it wasn't a particularly narrow point of the road. So it looks like we've got our front group coming through.
It's about 16 of them, I think. Something like that.
And see the Australian there in the background. So I think he got stuck just behind that crash. So it looked like it happened at the back of the pack. So I think those packs had merged together.
Maybe 17 counter going around that bend.
Just gets a little bit more spread out then as some of the athletes were stuck behind that crash.
So they come through to complete their first lap of 4, and the crowd enjoying the fact that there's plenty of Japanese involvement here. The likes of Yoshikawa and Takumi Hojo. And that's Jaden Schofield.
Yeah, so he was in that front group, so I think this is what's maybe happened post-crash. So we're still not exactly sure who's come down.
Uber Moosberger also in that leading group, so there's 18 of them, and then there's about a 5-second gap to the names just going through your screen now. May well be that Reese Fannison, who we were talking about, the American who picked up silver in the World Juniors a couple of weeks ago, was involved in that crash. We'll try and get confirmation of that as soon as we can.
So that crash has definitely splintered at the front. We do have that group at the moment of 17 within about 5 seconds of each other, then a group working on their own. Sullivan, middle from USA, looks like he's currently riding on his own. Just a little bit further back, those main groups. And a crash like that does kind of shake up the pack a little bit. So there's been one crash, everyone will be a little bit more twitchy, a little bit more on edge. But you're just taking a little bit more caution around some of these corners or giving other athletes a little bit more room. So athletes that are in the front group at the moment, Sagan, who's obviously had a great run of form so far on the World Cup circuit. Morlek also got a medal. There's quite a few in that front group that are, athletes that are really going to be up here and contending for the win.
Yeah, Sagan's actually had a terrific year. I mean, it's only his 8th race of 2024. But he's had a terrific ending to it. Won the Rome World Cup off the back of an eye-catching silver at the European Championships. Got a silver medal also this year, the World Cup in Samarkand.
Yeah, that silver at the Europeans was a really strong performance as well against a very informed Chongolaiman from Hungary.
And, you know, we definitely want to
and then you've got like someone like Ben Dijkstra in the field as well, who has showed so much promise when he's been young, and he's done like who's Olympic Games champion. He's had medals at World Juniors, but just had a string of kind of years where he hasn't been able to put a full season together. And he said his result in Tonyung was his best result in a World Cup for about 6 years. So it would be, he's really trying to build on that. I know there's been a big group of athletes that raced Tonyung. Now this race, they've all been training together, kind of preparing for the next races. So yeah, very motivated athletes. And although we're into November, it's very late in the season. They're really motivated and still chasing those good results.
Well, he's got a little bit of previous hit on this course, actually, Ben Dijkstra, because in 2022, he had the third fastest run, which got him up to, well, he was just outside the top 10 in the end. But if he's there or thereabouts when they come off the bikes, definitely could be a player. You just want Dijkstra to have, you know, a year, 2 years completely injury-free. And then, you know, you could see exactly where he's going to go in this sport, because he's been so highly rated for so long. He's still only 26. But when you're injured so often, it's very difficult to get any kind of consistency in terms of form.
Yeah, there's some athletes in this group really pushing the pace, trying to get the group working. They know they've lost some of their group, which and they really don't want those bigger groups kind of coming back together again. See by the way the group is positioned, you've got a few athletes at the front that are actually rotating, they're working, and I think there's some athletes that sat on that line actually not able to contribute.
Yeah.
This pace is a bit hot, I'm not coming through, or yeah, I'm just going to save my legs and let you guys do the work up front.
Happy to sit in, hang on.
Well, with 17 in that front group, then there's probably not a need for everyone to be up there working. Some of them are just going to try and save their legs.
Well, we know two men that were involved in the crash that aren't going to finish. It's Esteban Basanta of Spain, and the other man who's not going to be taking any further part today, Kuba Gejda of Poland.
We'll see if we can find him. Maybe if he makes his way up a little bit, it would be a good athlete to also watch out for as well.
Morlek was looking around everywhere, just testing the water a bit with his eyes. Thinks, anyone fancy making a little bit of a move? Doesn't appear so at the moment.
No, I think this group of them, there's got a group of them working well at the front, and although that group behind looks like they've not let them get away.
So this is the halfway point on the bike, 2 laps down, 2 to go.
You've got Jack Willis there leading them through. He's had a great year. I mean, he had 8th in way high, which was just a massive improvement on anything he's done before in a World Series. But very aggressive on the bike there, involved in like a small breakaway with Alex Yee and Leo Berger, which are an excellent company there if you're in a small push and a breakaway. So he was sick as well in Tonyung, so he didn't really get to show his best form. So really looking for a little bit of redemption, try and push on, race a little bit better.
And he likes racing here as well. His best ever World Cup result was here a couple of years ago when he just missed the podium, 4th.
So still about 17 in that front group. Then about 30 seconds to the chase group.
We're just updating the information from that crash. Just been told it's actually two men involved there, Aurélien Gem of France and Rhys Vanassen of the United States, as we thought. So that's really unfortunate for the young American and also for Aurélien Gem. We hope they're okay, because it looked like one of them was in real trouble. If we do get any further updates, we'll let you know.
About 26-7 seconds behind them was the chasing pack led by Cameron Kulik, Mason Rail, and Baptiste Masmar.
It's interesting to keep an eye on that time gap between those two groups. It's currently at about 30 seconds. It's about 10 in that second group, so they are trying to hold that, not let them get any further away. Some of those athletes obviously were in that front group before the crash.
So we've got 16 now in the leading group. You can see how it all slows down, obviously, at that dead turn.
So kind of a similar race to what we saw with the...
And the gap back is now, what, half a minute to the chasers?
Yeah, it's about 30 seconds. So, yeah, it's about 16 in the front, another 10 or so behind. And it looks like both groups try and, say, using these longer straights to try and get that group working, try and get them working smoothly. But like I say, there's a few athletes at the front keeping the pressure on. They want that 30-second buffer, although I'd say probably most of the favourites in the front group, there's still athletes behind they wouldn't want maybe catching up. But it's whether they're getting that information. They might not know exactly where the groups are. And there is points on the course where they can see the other groups, but they're going to be really aware and obviously concentrating on what they're doing in their groups.
I think also the Israeli may have been involved, Sagiv may have been involved in that crash incident as well. So don't see any update of where he is in the field. I think he was one of those three. Yeah, that's now been confirmed. So Shasa Sagiv is not going to finish either. So if we get any news on the condition of all or any of that trio, obviously we'll bring it to you. But Vanassen, Gem and Sagiv are all out the race.
So for Kenji Naina coming in ranked #1, he is in the perfect position at the moment. He's had a good swim, he's in the right group at the front, with a little bit of a buffer to that second group. And I think the smaller group on this tighter, narrower course on some of the sections, it's better, less stressful for the athletes. They'll be much happier to be in a smaller group than maybe a group of over 30, which is what we probably would have had. Just heading back now down towards transition to complete their third lap. Yeah, there is that bit of wind out there on the course, but it's nothing too bad. It has settled a little bit from the conditions earlier on today.
Yeah, it was really blowing hard when the women were racing.
A few of the athletes, they've got a couple trying to a little push off the front. It's like Bridziak, the Polish athlete, and he had that amazing third place in Tonyung just 2 weeks ago from the breakaway with Dylan McCulloch. It was a really impressive performance, and he managed to hang on for that third place. It was getting very close towards the end, but it was a really exciting finish, but looks like it's been shut down pretty quickly.
Yeah, appears to have been covered, that break.
But it just shows that there's a little bit of frustration in the group, that they don't really just want to sit in, that maybe the pace is slowing, maybe they're getting a bit annoyed that some of the other athletes aren't working. We're going to see if you keep trying to pop off the front of this group. You don't need much time, even if it was like 10-15 seconds, that little buffer into transition. It's so hard to do over a sprint distance race though, to get those gaps which are big enough to be significant for the run.
So 16 at the front with half a minute in hand of the chasers that include the likes of Grael and Passamar, Pascal, Jaden Schofield. Blake Harris of Canada is also in that chasing group.
Looks like there's a couple athletes who are trying to break away from the pack.
Also just hearing that Yanis Sega is going to have a 10-second penalty. This was for an infringement in the swim where he swam under the buoy, which we're not allowed to do.
Oh wow, that could really affect this race. And we would say, looking at the list of the athletes in that front group, he's one of the favourites.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if he's seen that yet, or if they have a coach out there. I mean, there's 8 French men in the race, so I wonder if there is a coach there, if this is... So maybe someone will feed that information to him, but it is the athlete's responsibility to look at the penalty board and see if their number's on there, but that is so much easier to do on the run than obviously when you're riding past it at 40 kilometres an hour.
So they're going to come through and take the bell, these leaders. Just 1 lap to go, 5K left on the bike.
If Sagan knows before he starts the run, that might change the way he runs as well. You might see him take off really fast out of T2, knowing that he has to get a little bit of a buffer.
Penalties are bad at any time, but in a sprint race, really hard to come back from. We'll see what he manages to do with that.
And this gap was about 30 seconds last time. Let's see what it is when they come through.
So the chasers take the bell. And we'll see when it gets down to number 17 how far back they are now. 36 seconds, that's gone out a little bit again.
Yeah, it's not much, but it's just enough to let them know that they're not coming back into this race. Sullivan Midor is maintaining that gap on his own, just riding solo. He's an excellent cyclist and races a lot of Xterra triathlon, but poor swim today hasn't really allowed him to showcase that cycling ability and impact the race. But still impressive to hold all those groups on your own.
It's within a 6-second window.
Might be a lot of looking around at this group on this lap. It's only 30 seconds to that other group, but they might know that's gone out, so it's really a little bit of just still got to keep the pressure on because they don't want that gap to close down just over the last lap, but really a little bit of positioning, like how are the legs feeling, and looking around how is everyone else is feeling. And when you get towards the back end of the season, it's like, it's where are you? Some people are running on empty. They've been racing all, someone like Kenji Naina as well, who's Paris was the big goal for him. He's raced all the Super Tri. He is coming into this a bit fatigued, almost hanging on for the end of the season. It doesn't mean he's going to go bad, but there's just a different mentality. So as we mentioned, someone like Ben Dijkstra is massively up for this race, just coming off the best World Cup he's had in 6 years, or 4 years it was. So I think very different headspace coming in for some of the athletes. And
you do get athletes, some of whom tend to perform very well at the start of the season, some in the middle, and obviously some towards the close of the campaign.
And the Olympics in the middle almost gave a bit of a break for the athletes that weren't competing. It's that big time to train in the middle and almost restart, re-energize for this back end of the season.
Yeah, I should probably add that then you also have the likes of Alex Yee and Cassandra Beaugrand, who performed brilliantly at the start, middle and the end.
Yeah, just all the way through consistently, which is why they're the world champions.
Indeed, and the Olympic champions.
Yeah.
まだまだ全然こうどうなるのかわからないというレース展開となっております。
Actually, for talking of Alex Yee, Ben Dykstra, when asked what his best moment of this season was Paris, and watching Alex Yee win, because he's been a part of that preparation over the last few years. He's one of Alex's training partners, so I thought that was really interesting that that's what it was. I'm sure massively inspirational as well.
Just hearing that, although Sagiv is out the race, as we told you, it apparently was a separate incident, and he's okay. A few bumps and bruises, but okay, which is good to hear.
Well, hopefully no crashes coming into transition like in the women's race. That was a dramatic T2, so hopefully no more crashes and everyone's smooth and safe through.
In the final lap, when we see a big group.
So we've got 3 of the French athletes heading into in that front pack. We'll be heading onto the run together, and Huber Moosberger is running really well. Sagan's running really well, but has that 10-second penalty. Morlech, who obviously had a fantastic year as well. Both Willis and Dykstra from GB, they've having strong seasons. Kenji Naina, Takumi Hojo, both World Cup medalists. Ren Sato's in there as well.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him yet, have we?
No, his best ever World Cups, I think he's a 4th.
Yeah, it is. Way high last year.
Yeah, been the Asian Triathlon champion as well.
Yep. But he's been a bit out of form since that race in China last year.
Yeah.
Best World Cup this year was a top 10 in Karlovy Vary, but the only other performance of any note really, a bronze at an Asia Cup race here in Japan in June.
Yeah, I mean, he does, I would say he does like a hillier course than this. He tends to go well off those really tough, solid courses. But again, great for the Japanese triathletes to have that many in the front. And there is some fans down there at the finish, and I'm sure they'll appreciate having their athletes up there in the front contending for the win.
As he can in his strong point in the bike. So trying to take the lead, but you know, everyone is doing a very good job keeping up to him.
So they're going to go to the top here, make a left, and then wind their way down towards T2, these 16. 36 seconds, remember, was the gap they had over the chasing pack, so surely I don't see anyone in the chasing pack that might be able to make up that kind of a deficit, to be honest.
How much distance there is behind him. He's got just a bit of the lead.
So you would think
good job keeping up.
that gold, silver and bronze will be decided amongst these 16 at the front.
Transition in that top spot. But
After this corner, it's really important to get near the front if you want to be that first athlete into transition. And I think for Sagan, with that penalty, if he knows about that already, I think this transition, that first lap on the run is going to be super important if he's got any chance of going for the win. But we know on sprint distance, to get that far ahead of anyone, it's always so close. We don't often see big gaps of even like 10 seconds, do we?
on top at a very, very
close. 16 athletes all coming in at once.
Just got to be wary of a little bit of traffic and congestion in transition. First job is to make sure you're off before the line. And Sagan, remember, has a 10-second time penalty for a swim violation.
Coming out of the bike, and we're going to go into the final part of this race, going into a 5-kilometer.
Your heart must absolutely sink when you see that your number on the ball, on the penalty ball.
Yeah, I think so.
There is Sagan. So he's away, so he's going to take this penalty at some point on the run. Either first or second lap, it's his choice. And here comes the cavalry in behind.
And we've got the chasing pack. Looks like they might have caught up a little bit to the leading pack, so might be still.
Yeah, we'll see what the gap is. I think it's it come down slightly, but probably not enough to have an impact. One Schofield brother leading us out of transition for the first pack, and the other one leading out for the second pack. Good at their transitions.
Well, the Union Jacks and lots of Japanese flags on there as well, amongst the 16 that came into transition clear. And now we're going to find out in a minute how far the rest are behind. It was 36 seconds. It's going to be somewhere around that region again, you would imagine. Yeah, 33. It's gone back a couple of seconds. So we got 7 at the front.
Kept your foes up a little bit there, but I think that was Sagan trying to push on the pace early on. So this is such a nice run course. It's quite twisty, turny. Some of the athletes are really going to like that, but it is really pretty. Not that they'll be probably appreciating that at the point. They might, the women who are now watching might be appreciating that, but it is nice. And it's slightly from you know, that straight out and back kind of course. I think it's just that little bit more interest.
Well, there's the bad news, confirmation of it for Yanis Sagan. Also a penalty for Minho Kwon of Korea.
Huben Roosberger now pushing on the pace. Ben Dijkstra's up there as well, Nina.
Curious when Sagan will decide to take this, either the first or second lap.
Oh, I would think first.
I
give
would.
You a chance to kind of work your way back in, but it's hard to know. It depends how you're feeling, how the athlete's feeling. If he's got momentum and he's feeling good, he'll just want to carry on and keep pushing. But it is tricky.
Either way, it's unbelievably dispiriting when you stood stock still and see other athletes just flying past, and you've got to wait. 10 seconds feels like more like a minute and a half, probably. Well, these men are a long way back. Long way back.
And it's quite quickly split, isn't it? We've got that group of 5, is it, that have managed to get away?
5 at the front, then a gap, then a couple more, another gap. So gradually, it might be 4 at the front in a minute, because man in 5th place just lost a little bit of ground with the leading quartet.
So once again, a 2.5 kilometer. We're going to be seeing 2 laps of that for a total of 5 kilometers.
And apologies for the slightly fuzzy picture.
It's definitely Huben Roosberger at the front, though, because he is the taller of the athletes there. I say just off the back of that 4th place in Korea, where he didn't have the fastest run. He had the 2nd fastest run, but the man with the fastest run was Davi Cantero, the World Under-23 champion, who is currently probably one of the faster runners in the sport. He is in that top 10 of the faster runners, so just shows how well Huben Roosberger is running at the moment. And he's got to be thinking this is a fantastic shot for a podium. Quite often his swim is not quite there and he's coming from behind, but he's in a brilliant position here. He's managed to have a great swim. He's been in the front pack. It's Kenji Naina who's just off the back there. Ben Dijkstra's there. Sagan's there. And Sagan obviously has that penalty to serve. There's Takumi Hojo. He was the athlete that came off the back of that group of 4.
So this quartet, as things stand, look like having it between them. But Sagan obviously is going to have to take a 10-second time penalty. Hojo keeping going at the moment in 5th place.
And it's something that your competitors probably don't know either, because even if they run past the board and look at it, they might not think, oh yeah, that's number 2, that's who that is, because you're not currently kind of thinking that. You're thinking about your own race and pushing the pace on. So it might be a complete shock to some of those when he does actually stop, if he stops on this lap. Well, broken up so much over this first, what, half a lap? Here's the faster athletes from the second group. There's Cruz from the US, Gadget from Poland. They are running really well. They've caught up some of that front pack already. So definitely moving well. I mean, not enough to have an impact on the field, but it is always interesting to see who's kind of running fast from that second pack.
We won't get the next set of official timings until the leaders come through transition. Which, as you can see, won't be too long. Now, the big question is, will Sagan take the penalty now?
Where is the penalty box? It's not there because that's a dismount line, is it? So maybe he's maybe it's just out of transition. Or let him go past it again.
Well, I hope he knows that he's got the penalties. If he finishes the race without taking it, that'll be a disqualification.
Now there's the penalty box there.
Okay, so that's the answer. He's going to take it on the second lap.
We didn't look at it then, so I hope he knows.
Well, I'm saying,
he's got it.
You always worry, don't you, for athletes if they don't realise. But it's just a straight DQ if they don't take it.
Cameron Main running through well there because he's got into 5th place now, just past Hojo. It's good from Saxon Morgan. He wasn't happy with his performance at Tongyong a couple of weeks ago, so he'll be happy to running inside that top 10. I would say Sagan, it looks like he's the one under pressure. Moosberger's been at the front. He's dictated the pace. It's been really impressive. He's gone to the front pretty much within that first 500 metres, and he's the one that's deciding what it is. And Sagan looks like he's coming under pressure at the back. Just a slight gap. Looks like Hoover Moogs was just the plan is to just wind it up and put everyone under pressure. He looks like he's made a move again and just gaps opening up.
Dijkstra at the moment very happy just to sit on the shoulder.
I mean, for Ben Dijkstra to get a podium today, I'm sure would mean an enormous amount.
Just a little bit of a gap that Hoover Moosberger has opened up over Ben Dijkstra.
Yeah, Moosberger's really pushed the pace and there's gaps opening up everywhere. They've all just seemed to have got a lot more spread out just in that. It's less than a minute, isn't it? Just somebody puts the pressure down and it just the gaps open so quickly. And there we go, there's quite a split now. It's only Dijkstra that's been able to go.
So Hoover Moosberger and Ben Dijkstra, and they've got about a 20, maybe 30-metre gap.
And Kenji Naina in 4th, but does he know about the penalty? Because he's just got to hang on, because he's got a buffer there. He's got at least a 10-second buffer. Is it 5 or 10 seconds?
10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds, but it's always slightly more with that slowing down of the watch starting.
Yeah, well, it would be ironic, wouldn't it, if Naina's seen it and Sagan hasn't. Let's hope for the Frenchman's sake that he knows he's got to take the penalty when they come towards the end of this final lap.
Oh yeah, because it'd be so disappointing to have that. Well, it'd be better to be the fourth and not be disqualified, wouldn't it? You just
Yeah,
you don't want to go all that way.
Well, the honour and the glory, but apart from that, the points, the money, everything.
Yeah. That gap's opened up again. There's definitely daylight between him and Dijkstra.
He's challenging the Brit. Dijkstra just about still in touch. But if that gap gets any bigger, he'll be in serious trouble. Further back, the likes of Dupuis. The gap is getting bigger at the front. It's got to be best part of 20 metres now.
And this is where you've really got to believe, whichever athlete you are in that situation. For Moosbrugger, he'll know Dijkstra's gone. He's just got to keep going, keep pushing. And for Dijkstra, you've got to keep believing that the athlete in front might slow. You might be able to come back. It's so much of a mental game at this point too. Obviously, you've got to do whatever you can in your body, but any doubt that creeps into your mind. And for Dijkstra, is he in second going, well, this is my first podium, if I can stay on the podium? Or do you think, no, this is it, I've got to go for the win? What mentality do you have in this situation?
Well, Huber Moosbrugger may have just too much speed for him, so yeah, you can see it there. That gap's getting bigger, so Dijkstra may decide, albeit mentally decide, okay, see if I can cement the silver. Any podium result for him is going to be big after all the injury problems he's had.
This would be Moosbrugger's first podium as well, wouldn't it? World Cup podium.
Yeah, fourth's his best. Fourth in Tongyong a couple of weeks ago. Made a very early statement of intent to get to the front here on the run. He's just gone further and further away from everybody else. So Huber Moosbrugger leads. Ben Dijkstra in second, then a gap back to Yanis Sagan, who has that penalty to take, and then Kenji Naina, and they're more than halfway through their second and final lap.
And Sagan looks like he's pulling back on Dijkstra, but he obviously still got that penalty, but I think he brought that gap down slightly. Kenji Naina's not letting him get away. And as long as he stays within this distance, Naina might have that bronze.
Yep, absolutely.
He can't slow down because there's athletes coming from fast behind too.
Well, a nightmare scenario for Sagan if he's in the penalty box and the count gets to 7, 8, and at that point, which may well be the case, Naina charges past.
Valentin Morlex had a really good lap there as well. He's really moved through this second lap, moved up a few positions. Saxon Morgan's still inside the top 10. He'll be happy with that position. Oh, calm down.
Yeah, that's okay. Gonna get the penalty for that. Didn't transgress any rules. Well, it's been a really positive display from Huber Moosbrugger. Made a very early break on the run. Ben Dijkstra still clear in second place. But Huber Moosbrugger is going to win his first ever World Cup medal here. Keeps looking back, but Dijkstra's some way behind him. And there go the glasses. There you see the smile. And the 28-year-old Frenchman milking the applause here. He wins his first ever World Cup medal, and it's a gold. Also a World Cup medal for Dijkstra, his first. He takes the silver. And with Sagan in the penalty box, Kenji Naina is going to come home and take bronze on home soil. And that is your 1, 2, 3. Sagan has done brilliantly, actually. He's going to get fourth. But it's Huber Moosbrugger, Dijkstra, and Naina for the podium.
Oh, you can see the frustration there on Sagan's face. I didn't think he was going to stop then. I'm glad he did, and he managed to get that position. But yeah, he looks pretty annoyed with that.
It actually looked like a pretty late kind of, kind of almost stopped and then went at right angles. And maybe he only found out very, very late. Either way, he's okay, served it. And he will finish 4th, but clearly would have been on the podium had he not had that penalty.
Yeah, just out sprinting Valentin Morlek, Takumi Hojo getting that 6th position. Cameron Main, then Jack Willis, Saxon Morgan, and Luke Schofield making it inside the top 10.
Might have seen Kenji Naina absolutely shattered.
I think it's been a long season. They did really well there to get that bronze. Just saw Kaio Cruz there from the USA coming in 13th, so probably the fastest run from that second group. Yoshikawa, who was in the front pack.
Just misses out on the top 20. Middow of the States. Well, I don't think we should be too surprised about Huber Moosbrugger's victory. We know what an aggressive athlete he is. He's got top 10 form here in Miyazaki. Now he's got gold medal form here in Miyazaki.
Yeah, and I think in the past it has just been the swim. He's quite often got one of the faster run splits, or up there in that top 5 faster run splits. But yeah, really executed a really solid all-round race today. And again, avoiding crashes and sitting in the right position in the pack. All of those are different skills too.
Yeah, smart racing.
I see there's really big gaps during this field. Looking back now, these men still only halfway through their second lap.
Jeong and Kim, the 2 Koreans. Pia France, who was prominent in the water, actually.
Yeah, he was one of the athletes that was on the side of the road after the crash. So although he didn't injure himself, he was definitely delayed. So really slowed him down a little bit there. It's a really long sprint finish. If you think when they come over that blue, that sort of blue hill at the end, that blue lump, it is a long way down. Especially when you're trying to hang on all the way down that finish line.
So Mori of Japan is going to come home and finish in 27th place. I reckon there are going to be 37 finishers. So Lesma of France, and another Japanese, Ishida, just behind him. And then Jeong and Kim, the 2 Koreans. Winning time, by the way, 53.59 seconds. So 2 more Koreans.
So with France winning that World Cup, that means the French men have won 2 World Cups, the British men have won 2 World Cups, and the Australian men have won 2 World Cups so far this season. So that put the French back up there.
Right.
Oh, sorry, the Spanish, they've also got 2.
We mentioned that Kenji Naina was needed a bit of help from a couple of the marshals once he got over the line. He's recovering, but he's not going to be able to do an interview. However, hopefully we'll be able to hear from our winner, Huber Moosbrugger, and from Ben Dijkstra in fairly short order. I think now we can hear from the winner, Huber Moosbrugger of France. Down with Doug.
Maxim, congratulations. You're a World Cup gold medalist. Talk us through the feelings of that finish.
Thank you. It means the world for me. First podium also on the World Cup level. I was looking for this one since I started triathlon when I was looking on TV, and now being on the podium and also taking the finish line tapes, a great day for me and to finish my season also.
You looked like you really wanted to set the pace, dictate what was going on that run, and you were feeling good out there?
Yeah, I was in the first park after the swim, so I knew I could have my chance. So when I had really good legs after the bike, I just went for it, didn't let the lead, and just saw how it went, and I saw that they were struggling, following me, and I just went for it until the finish line.
Front pack on the bike, but there was a lot of work to do at the start of that bike as well. It was yo-yoing back and forth, and you had to really dig in on those early stages.
Yeah, this bike course is very technical, more than 2 years ago when I did it. It's very nice to have very sharp turns, 180 turns also. It makes the bike more entertaining, and I really liked it. It makes the legs more heavy for the run, but that's triathlon and really like it.
How aware were you of that accident that happened with your teammate Aurelien? And it looked kind of nasty out there and must have shaken up the pack as well. Yeah,
I was just on his right, so I saw him fell doing front flips. I was a bit wary for him. I saw him the legs slap, standing up. So I was it was better to see him not on the ground anymore and just focused on my race again at this time.
Absolutely, and yeah, a brilliant way to finish out the year. When you started here on that start line, were you feeling like you had this first win in you? Is there something going on there?
Honestly, I felt really good this last 2 weeks where I was staying in Japan. So I really liked to have it in mind that I could be on the podium today, but a race is a race. You never know what happens Aurelien today. So I'm happy we'll be okay the next days, but I'm really happy for myself today to be on the podium.
Brilliant racing, well done.
Thanks.
If we could get Ben Dijkstra over, silver medalist. Big smile on his face as well. It's been a long time coming, Ben. Feels good?
Oh, it feels amazing. I've kind of been waiting for this for a while and worked hard, but yeah, it's running down that home straight. I was so Max was tired, but I was sort of overcome with emotions. I was in pain, but super happy as well. So Max was super strong out there. It was a good race, and the guys who went down in the crash happened right next to me. I think there was a touch of wheels, and I think it was Aurelien right next to me, and I just hope that him and everyone else involved in that is okay and, has a good recovery.
Yeah, we've seen them going off. They look in one piece, certainly. Yeah, the start of that run, I think there was the 5 of you. Kenji was there, Yannis was there. At what point did you realise that Yannis had a penalty to serve as well?
I saw that was number 2. I just didn't know exactly. I thought it was either him or one of the other guys sort of in the top 5, and so I didn't know it was him specifically, but I just knew that, I had to keep pushing, and I knew Max was super strong when he started stringing it out. I know how good of an athlete he is, and, we're really good friends, so I was just I just really wanted to go with him and just kind of latch on. And I felt a bit bad because I couldn't sort of contribute, but he was just a bit too strong, and I just had to go with it as long as I could. So once that gap started going out, it was just kind of a case of hanging on at the end. And yeah, running down that blue carpet, a silver feels like a gold to me. So yeah, hopefully in the future I'll be able to go one more, but for now it's kind of amazing to get a silver.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's been a while coming, and this sport has delivered some knocks over the years, so I mean it must feel even more special putting all that behind.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a number of tough years. I think this is my first season that I've completed start to finish since 2019, since I was a junior, so yeah, I've had a few ups and downs across the years and this year as well, and I knew that I was in good form coming into this. I kind of trusted what I'd done in training. I've got a great group around me, so I'm just grateful that, you know, the belief from them and just support, and you know, when times were tougher, then just, you know, turning up to training and just having such a good group around you means the world. So you know, it's sort of things that you don't say on a daily basis to everyone, but you do appreciate it. And you know, a result like this, hopefully you know, everyone can have a smile on their faces that's around me and in my circle.
And it's been an extended trip here in Japan, right? It was kind of lengthened at the start, so something to be said for getting there early and getting the work done and being on site.
Yeah, 100%. I've been rooming with Cam May in the last few weeks, and he's been a great roommate, and I'm really happy that he had a great result here today. We kind of came straight here after Tongyong. We both had solid races there, and you know, we were kind of confident with the setup we had, and you know, it's just a great place to train, great food, great people, great culture, and I love it here in Japan. So hopefully I'll be back next year. I've already seen when it is on the calendar, so I'll probably aim towards this. You know, it's a great venue, and you know, I had a decent race here 2 years ago and a little bit better this year. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, and enjoy that champagne celebration as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Races for the elite men's.
Well, two very happy men there, Maxim Huber-Musburger and Ben Dijkstra. As I mentioned, Kenji Naina just getting some medical attention, so not able to do an interview with Doug, but hopefully we'll see him on the podium. We show you the confirmed result. Just shy of 54 minutes, the winning time. Morlet with a very solid fifth. Oh, you can hear from Kenji Naina, excellent.
Kenji, well done. A hard-earned bronze out there, and obviously it's taken a toll.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, after getting sick in Neom, I really didn't have that much expectation, but in front of a home crowd, and it's the last one, I just wanted to see what I had, and I just put everything through. And, you know, like, I feel sorry to take the podium away from Yannis because he had a penalty, and he worked hard on the bike, but ultimately this is all I had, and yeah, I'm so happy to get away with third today. It's really a miracle, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, you all worked super hard out there, and like you said, coming in, the preparations weren't far from ideal. So, yeah, rinsing yourself on this last stage of the season took a lot.
Yeah, it definitely did. I was so emotional, actually, in Neom because I didn't want to end the season like this. So I thought, let's see what I can do in Miyazaki, and I have family and friends in Japan, so it was nice to really put on something in front of them. Yeah, I just really want to thank everyone for their support, and a special mention to Ben Dijkstra. I know it's been a long time since he's been on the podium of a World Cup, and he's fought so hard to come back. I mean, triathlon's not an easy sport, and he's been full of injury, so it's really nice to share the podium with him. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And for Maxim, a first gold, and he really set the pressure on the start of that run. Took it away a bit. Were you aware of Yannis's penalty that he had to serve?
Yeah, I actually was, to be honest, because I saw it on the first lap, saw number 2, and knew it was Yannis. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for him because he's such a good athlete too. So, I mean, I really just dug deep and see what I had. Like, I really didn't expect to be anywhere near the podium, so I'm super happy with it. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate the support.
Yeah, brilliant race, and yeah, get some rest.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Just a genuine nice guy, Kenji Naina. Glad to see he recovered so quickly. And he's going to be on the podium shortly. We're going to have actually the presentations for the women's race and the men's race because the women's race earlier, we didn't have a ceremony directly after that. So, as you see, medal ceremonies coming up, and as soon as they begin, we'll be right back with you.
見事6位入賞を果たした北条拓実選手にお話を伺います。北条選手、お疲れ様でした。
ありがとうございました。
まず今日のレース振り返っていかがでしたか？
そうですね、今日のレースは、表彰台を目標にレースしたんですけど、6位という結果で、結果順位には満足はしていないんですけど、パフォーマンス的には今できる自分のレースはできたかなと思います。
スイム、バイクではトップ集団に入る粘りも見せましたが、その点いかがでしたか？
そうですね、もともと自分はスイムが得意な、タイプで、去年から今年くらいは少し得意のスイムで前で上がれていなかったので、今日は久しぶりに先頭で上がることができて、自分らしいレースができたかなと思います。
この北条選手はこの宮崎での大会複数出ているかと思いますが、雰囲気などいかがでしたか？
宮崎の大会には毎年出場させていただいて、国内である国際大会は数少ない横浜と宮崎しかないので、すごいホームといった感じですごいやりやすさを感じて、順位こそ5位とか6位とかっていう表彰台には届いていないものの、毎年いいレースができているので、昨年は落車してしまってちょっと残念な結果だったんですけど、今年はしっかり走り切ることができて、日本の皆さんの応援がすごい多い中で楽しくレースできます。
では最後に今後の目標と意気込みをお願いいたします。
今年残りのレースは来週の日本選手権お台場で開催されるレースが、今年最後のレースになっていて、今年パリオリンピックっていう大きな年を終えて、最後日本選手権優勝して、で来年からまた目標を新たに決めて、そうですね、ロサンゼルスオリンピックに向けて少しずつ進んでいければいいかなと思ってます。
見事6位入賞を果たした北条拓実選手でした。ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
Announcement to everyone, we will be starting the victory ceremony right after this. He initially said 12:30, but we're almost ready to get it started. So. Ladies and gentlemen, we now like to begin the Elite Women's Athlete Victory Ceremony for the 2024 World Triathlon Cup Miyazaki. 皆様お待たせいたしました。ただいまよりワールドトライアスロンカップ2024宮崎エリート女子ビクトリーセレモニーを行います。Introducing our presenters. ここでプレゼンターをご紹介いたします。Presenting the medals, World Triathlon Vice President Shin Otsuka. Presenting the gifts, Vice Governor.
So here we go then with the women's presentation.
Hiroyuki Sato. And presenting the NTT West Award, the original Crystal Trophy, will be NTT West General Manager Miyazaki Branch Hiroaki Yokoku. Coming in at third place and winning the bronze medal from Belgium,
Julian Vermeulen.
Follows up a fantastic gold in Tongyong with another medal. And a really good end to the season.
She's got a lot of World Cup medals now. You feel like it won't be too long before she's making that step up onto the World Championship Series with those regular sort of top tens.
Coming in at second place and winning the silver medal from Switzerland, Alyssa Koenig.
Also finishing the season on a high. It's just a moment, wasn't there, towards the end where you thought maybe she'd just sneak ahead of Gwen Jorgensen, but the Americans' sprinting power was just too much in the end, and obviously she had to make up a 15-second gap as well, most of it on the second lap, actually.
And coming in at first place, winning the gold, your 2024 World Triathlon Cup Miyazaki champion from the United States of America, Gwen Jorgensen.
Amazingly, it's her 5th World Cup win and her 8th podium since she came back into the sport less than 2 years ago. And you have to think she might actually be quite competitive next year on the World Championship circuit.
You think another winter's worth of training,
Yeah.
whether she closed down any of those gaps, the things that have, she's become exposed to a few things this year, and whether she's got another winter to work on that.
And everyone, please rise for the national anthem of the United States of America. ここで優勝選手の栄誉をたたえ、国歌を演奏し、国旗の掲揚を行います。We will now commence the photo session. フォトセッションを行います。はい、プレゼンターの皆様ありがとうございました。And this concludes the elite women's victory ceremony for the 2024 World Triathlon Cup.
So don't go away, because we'll bring you the men's presentation ceremony
ありがとうございました。
in a few moments' time.
And next, we'd like to begin the Elite Men's Athletes Victory Ceremony for the 2024 World Triathlon Cup Miyazaki. 続きまして、ワールドトライアスロンカップ2024宮崎エリート男子ビクトリーセレモニーを行います。Introducing our presenters. ここでプレゼンターをご紹介いたします。Presenting the medals. World Triathlon Multi-Sports Committee, Tomoko Wada. Presenting the gifts. Phoenix Resort CO Ltd. Chief Operating Officer, Director, Vice President, Koichi Katagiri. And presenting the NTT West Award, the original Crystal Trophy, will be NTT West General Manager, Miyazaki Branch, Hiroaki Yokoku. Coming in at third place and winning the bronze medal from Japan, Kenji Niner.
Said he was absolutely delighted to get on the podium. We saw how exhausted he was at the end, but a very nice way to finish the season.
Really impressive to do that after sickness last week as well.
And coming in at second place and winning the silver medal from Great Britain, Ben Dykstra.
Big moment for Ben Dykstra as well. He's still only 26. Just really hope that he can go on from here and show some of the talent that so many people believe he's had for some time. Career which has been punctuated by so many injuries, but a great result to sign off 2024.
Winning the gold medal, your 2024 World Triathlon Cup Miyazaki champion from France, Maxime Hubert-Bruger.
First medal of any colour in a World Cup race for the Frenchman, let alone a gold. Really bold statement he made on the run, and no one could go with him.
Everyone, please rise for the national anthem of France. ここで優勝選手の栄誉をたたえ、国歌を演奏し、国旗の掲揚を行います。続きましてフォトセッションを行います。
So they'll pose for some photos, and they can now look forward to a few weeks' rest.
And this concludes the elite men's victory ceremony for the 2024 World Triathlon Club Miyazaki. And now at this time we'd like to ask our elite women's athletes to please return to the podium. 以上をもちましてエリート男子ビクトリーセレモニーを終了いたします。女子選手は皆様再び表彰台にお上がりください。And alright, here we go next for the champagne ceremony. 最後はシャンパンセレモニーを行います。
So, six-way champagne ceremony coming up.
The champagne will be presented by Triathlon Japan President Mitsuhide Iwaki, Director of Tourism and Economic Exchange of Miyazaki Prefectural Government Teruhiro Sano, and Section Chief of Sportsland Promotion Division of Miyazaki City Office Masahiro Yano. それではプレゼンターの皆様、フォトセッションを行います。We'll now have a photo session. それではプレゼンターの皆様、シャンパンを選手にお渡しください。And athletes, please make sure not to pop it yet. We don't want to get everyone wet. I'll let you know once we're ready to pop that champagne, all right?
Good advice. Get those guys out of the way in the suits.
All right, here we go. 3,
I think you're
2,
good now.
1, pop it! All right, congratulations to all of our winners, to all of our athletes. All right, once
Well,
again,
6
congratulations
very happy
to all our
triathletes
athletes. This concludes
on the podium
athletes
here in
victory ceremony
Miyazaki.
for the 2024 World Triathlon Cup Miyazaki. 以上をもちましてビクトリーセレモニーを
I hope you've enjoyed the action that we've brought to you here this morning. The women's race that produced that really exciting finish with Glenn Jorgensen just about having the edge over Alyssa Koenig. And then obviously the men's race with Hubert Moosbruker's heroics. Now this might be the last World Cup weekend of the season, but it isn't the last event because in just a few hours' time, the Brasilia World Cup takes place in South America, 7 a.m. local time in Brasilia. So wherever you are in the world, need to just find out what that means, 7 a.m. in Brasilia. And hopefully you can join Helen and myself for the women's race and then the men's race 2 hours after that. For now, though, from all of us here who've brought you the racing from Japan, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.